Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and today we're going to be doing a preview Western Province versus the Cheetahs in the Currie Cup. The last Currie Cup game of the weekend. We've already seen the Lions seal a bonus point victory against the Griquas, and then tonight we will see the Sharks taking on the Bulls, and then tomorrow to close out the weekend's action, the Cheetahs have travelled down to Cape Town to Newlands, where they will then face the Western Province. And it's a new face back, well, an old face, newly back within the Western Province side as well, and 4 changes to the Cheetahs. Before we look at the teams themselves, how they are different and how they're lining up, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. We will be live tonight for the Bulls versus the Sharks game. We'll be live tomorrow for both the Bledisloe Cup as well as, of course, Springboks versus the Lions tomorrow night, which is going to be an absolute cracker. A final. There's no other way of putting it. It is a final tomorrow night. It should be an absolutely brilliant game. It could be one of those games where you could remember for years and years to come. So it all comes down to 80 minutes. But in terms of this 80 minutes, these are the teams that will be taking part tomorrow. First up, we'll have a look at the Cheetahs, who are traveling down there. And there's only 4 changes to the starting lineup. A couple of very interesting ones, and I think for me, if you look at the loose trio, that's probably the thing that stands out the most in terms of the Cheetahs' quality. But in the front row, Alulu, Turk, Sakweni, Marius van der Merwe, and then Aranus Kutsia comes into this side in tight head there. The 2 locks, Renier Bernardo and Jean Drosti, are quite settled. They provide quite a lot of good hard work. You're sort of very classic sort of locks, nothing too flash or anything like that, but they hit their rucks, they'll jump in the lineup, they'll do pretty much everything you need a lock to do. And it's this loose trio for me which always gets me so excited. Jean-Ray Rudolph, Junior Pocamela, and Aiden Davis, who's I think somebody who's almost a little bit overshadowed at times by the presence of the other two, are really, really good players. Especially something like Jean-Ray Rudolph, I think, reads the game like a book. But Aiden Davis is getting better and better in this Cheetah side, and he's becoming quite an important part of Harvest FOURIE's plans. And the halfback combination, Ruan Pinot will captain the side as per usual, and then Renard Fortain gets a chance to start fly half in place of Brandon Thompson, who drops to the bench. The rest of the back line, Cohen Jasper, we saw his explosive pace and his ability last weekend. He's been getting better. Him, Duncan Sol, and Clayton Blommekeys will bring a lot of pace and a lot of X factor to that Cheetahs back line. Sia Masuko and David Brits as well are people that seem to be sort of going from strength to strength. Onto the bench, Louis van der Westhuizen, Cameron Dawson, Henkes van Wyk is the replacement front row. Victor Sekekete, Matlali Mossi will cover the rest of the scrum, and then Tian Meyer is back on the side, Brandon Thompson, and of course then Chris Smith in the number 23 jumper. It's a decent Cheetah side. They still have quite a few players missing. Somebody like a decent Nsila, for example, who's quite a sort of a big absence. Roscoe Speckman, obviously, we haven't been called up to the Springbok squad, so a couple of players missing for the Cheetahs, but they still can get put together quite a decent side. And for them, a bit like the Lions today, if they have any sort of hopes of harboring any ambitions of getting to the semi-final stages, they need to go out and get a victory tomorrow. They need to go out and get a result, because a loss tomorrow can suddenly very quickly put them out of contention for the semi-finals. Whereas a victory could certainly put them in quite an interesting place where they can start sort of playing a bit of catch-up. They have played the least amount of games of all the teams, so they're primed to sort of lead a bit of a late charge in the second sort of round of the Currie Cup. In terms of your Western Province side, a completely two new props in DEON and Sazi Sandi, who come into the side. Skara and Tibeni will anchor the two in the middle of the scrum. And then the 2 locks, JD Schikkeling, David Mayhes, continue from last weekend, but swap jerseys. Namakaba continues the number 6 jersey, but Ernst van Rijn, who will captain the side as usual, becomes the latest lock to shift off to flank. We've seen Franco Master starting at flank tomorrow for the Springboks. We've seen Ruan Nokia do it at the Bulls. Obviously, Peter Steph-Totoy, somebody who's done it very successfully. So Ernst van Rijn will have a run out at number 7. And then it is a return for DEON FOURIE, who will start tomorrow at 8th man. Very interesting to see how they use DEON FOURIE, the Western Province. I think that all of a sudden, even with Bongi Malambi leaving, they've got some decent hookers in the likes of Skara Ntibeni, JJ Kotza, and Andrew Hugo-Fentu, who for me is a very, very exciting prospect. So it'll be interesting to see how they use DEON FOURIE, whether they're going to keep him as a loose forward, if they want to ask him to fill in at hooker, or what the sort of plan is for him. He brings so much experience as DEON FOURIE. He was a stalwart and a fan favorite back in the day before he went over to Europe, and very, very good at the breakdown. So him and Klaba tomorrow, even Skara Ntibeni as well, will be having a lot of fun down the breakdown. The halfback combination will be Paul de Vet and Tim Swiel. Tim Swiel didn't have his greatest game last weekend against the Bulls, under quite a lot of pressure, so he'll be looking to try and respond. The 2 wings, Edel van der Merwe, Sia Bedler, Sanatla, it's pace, and more pace. And Cyril Peterson is really, really looking comfortable in that number 15 jersey. I think it was probably the game against the Lions which really sort of silenced a lot of doubters about whether he could play at 50. I think he's settling in there quite nicely and becoming quite a useful player. And at centre pairing, Ricky Pretorius gets a chance this week in the midfield, and he's next to Jean DeYoung, who brings all the experience of a former Western Province captain even. And then on the bench, JJ Kotze, Leon Lyons, Nedlin Bashir. So some very nice players coming off the bench there. Johan de Tour and Evan Ruiz will get a bit of a break. So some nice impact players in those two areas. Van can obviously shift back to lock, so they don't have to name a lock replacement technically on the bench. And then Godlem is similar. Dan Duplessis, Warwick Halant very takes sort of his next stage in his road to recovery. And for the Stormers, the Western Province rather, and for the Stormers, because it's all about getting him ready for United Rugby Championship, isn't it? Or even trying to sort of get him ready to sort of maybe run out in the sort of semi-finals and finals. So, you don't want to rush somebody back from a 9-month layoff due to an ACL. So they need to manage him very, very carefully. But he's a tremendous player and very interesting to sort of see, especially when Springboks come back, where he sort of starts in that playing. Is he going to be playing at fullback? Is he going to be playing at outside centre, for example? What will happen to Warwick Halant? But let me know what you think is going to happen during the game. You've got to back Western Province in theory on paper, but the Cheetahs side has the potential to go after them. Western Province are also a side who often have underperformed when sort of the going gets tough, and I think they're a side that they've lost to the Griquas already. They've lost to the Lions as well. They've had some good results this tournament when they beat the Sharks, for example, but they've also had some pretty poor results. And on the back of a thrashing at the hands of the Bulls last weekend, they'll be very, very eager to respond. Let me know what your comments and your predictions are down in the comments below. Smash like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel. My name is Steven. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.